We got Craig from Martin to talk about the Eric Clapton Crossroads. We have three beautiful looking Martin acoustic guitars, and Craig can tell us a little bit more about these guys here.
I'll start here with the 28 appointment level, and what we did is we took, working with Eric, he likes smaller body guitars. He likes typically the auditorium size guitars. He likes the balance between the bass and the treble. One thing that he does unique that's different from our vintage guitars is he uses Scallop Bracing that we use on the vintage OMs, but he stiffens it up a little bit to get a little bit more bite on the high end. So we take the traditional Scallop 1/4 inch and move it a little thicker to the 5/16. So it just has that real nice bite. He likes to bend notes. He's a blues player, obviously, and that really works well with his ear. And then on the neck, he likes the modified V, which feels nice in terms of the way you're playing. And then most importantly, he likes a short scale length because of the way and the ability that you can move the strings at less pounds per square inch on it. So we took all the playability and the sound characteristics of the Clapton guitars that he really likes, and we did some changes with it in terms of the tone woods. And on the back and the sides is the Guitar Center team came back to Martin and they went through all our Madagascar sets, and this is a D2 grade, which is what we would put on a 28 style guitar, and I'll show you 45 in a minute. And they went back and went through several hundred sets and picked the best of the best of the best. So you can see it has almost like a Brazilian looking type of wood in the dark chocolate line characteristics. So this is Madagascar rosewood for the back and sides. And on the 0028, Eric Clapton, which he has said is one of his favorite guitars, we use the Sitka spruce on the top. And then we have a Madagascar head plate on there with, as you can see, the Crossroads logo. And that was specifically done for Eric Clapton and the Crossroads. And he's very, very involved in the design of the guitars. And the first time that he saw it, he thought, you know, it's a little bit too blue. And he gave us some suggestions. So our art department did 3 different variations, and we found one that he really liked. And he said, that's it, we're going with it. So he's very, very involved in the guitars. We changed up the fingerboard inlay. Typically on his 28s, he has a diamond and square pattern, and what we did was a style 42 snowflake inlay on the fingerboard.
That's looks like a mother of pearl.
Yeah,
pearl.
It's mother of pearl.
Is that an ebony fingerboard that you have on there?
Rigid fingerboard, and then of course in between the 19th and 20th fret, you can have Eric Clapton's signature, and then on the neck block, like this one, for example, you probably can't see that on camera, but it says 0028 EC Crossroads, and this is for the Madagascar. The neck blocks on all the 3 customs will have that inscribed on them, which is a real nice treatment for his instruments. And then we also came out with custom cases that, in this particular case, we use our custom shop case, but we have, as you can see here, the Eric Clapton shroud, which it has the Crossroads Guitar Festival and then Eric Clapton's signature embroidered on there. It's beautifully done. So again, these are specifically for the Clapton version. And then we have a signed certificate signed by Eric Clapton, they're hand signed, and Chris Martin, which is really nicely done. And then we'll also have sound hole labels signed, hand signed by Chris and Eric on every one of the instruments. And then finally, each of the guitars come with a Crossroads strap. So when you put it all together, we started again with the 28, I'm going to talk about the 45s in a minute. Guitar Center worked extensively with Eric and Martin to really come up with something that's totally unique, and in one case here that's never been done before. So if we look at the 45s, these guitars here is the Madagascar 45. And one thing that people don't realize is we've gone up in terms of Clapton models as high as a 42 appointment level. And this is the first time we've ever done a 45 Eric Clapton. And for those that may not understand what that means, is basically a 42 will have pearl around the perimeter of the top underneath fingerboard, rosette, snowflakes on the fingerboard, but the 45s have every joint, the sides as well as the back has pearl.
This is a lot of beautiful inlays on here.
It's beautiful inlay, and that adds, about 5 weeks extra to the time of the construction. These guitars typically take about 6.5 months to build from start to finish. And if you look at that back and sides, now this is a 40 grade Madagascar rosewood, and beautiful. You can see the contrasting dark and brown lines on there. It's almost Brazilian looking. And in terms of these guitars, they're very, very limited. There'll be a maximum of 55 worldwide, but a maximum of 30 in the domestic market. And for Clapton Signature Edition, for example, we did 200 of the 42. This is very, very rare. So it'll be Madagascar back and sides. And for the 45s, he wanted to go a different type of top, so we went with an Adirondack top, and we used hide glue, which is a vintage way of construction. And there's basically two guys at Martin that do all the construction with hide glue. So those two guys will be touching every one of these guitars that are for sale. But again, it's got the Adirondack top, and you'll notice with the 45s, because we have the CF Martin in pearl on the Madagascar head plate, we decided, working with Eric, he liked them better on the ends of the bridge. So that's where we put his logo.
This kind of keeps that classic Martin-looking headstock on there, which is...
And that's very important to him. He likes that classic look. And basically, when he played in the Unplugged in '92, it was a 1939 0042. So he's very familiar and very fond of the vintage Martins. And we tried to recreate that with all the guitars up here on stage. So again, this will come with a customized case. It will have the sound hole label, which you can see this one is actually signed by Chris Martin and Eric Clapton. And then it will have the model inscribed on the neck block, custom case again with the strap. And then finally, this is the rarest of all of them.
Seems like your pride and joy there, right?
This was Eric's pride and joy. This is made from Brazilian rosewood. And again, the wood, the buyers from Guitar Center came back and hand selected, and we went through every piece of wood we had and came up with some amazing looking wood. And this will be a Brazilian rosewood back and sides and head plate. And then it will also have Madagascar, Adirondack for the top, and then it will use hide glue as well. This is very limited. It will be a maximum of 18 worldwide and just a maximum of 12 for the domestic market. So we've already sold 4 of those, so there's 8 more. That's it.
That is impressive right there.
And that will come with a brown case and strap and the label and certificate as well.
You mentioned hide glue in these guitars here. How does that affect the tone of them?
Well, what it really does, it makes a real nice joint and a gluing area. So if you want to think of like a speaker, if you think about on the perimeter of the speaker and it flexing and vibrating, the joint is a real tight bonding agent in terms of using hide glue, so the guitar can really flex and it really vibrates as the more and more you play it. And it's a vintage appointment. It's something that we have just recently started to put on our authentic line. And for example, a guitar that sold in the 1930s for about 200 bucks, it would use hide glue and Brazilian rosewood and what you see here. But today that guitar in a 45 can go anywhere from, we paid $270,000 at a discount up to $450,000 now. So these are going to be highly sought after and very collectible, and I think a real nice treasure to anybody that's into fine acoustic instruments or just instruments in general.
You know, that said, with the amount of detail, the amount of precision, and the amount of obvious care that's gone into these, they must cost a bunch of money. Do you expect that they would get a lot of play, or do you worry that they might just become somebody's trophy?
I think, well, I don't want to comment, but in the sense of I know who's purchased some of them, and I don't want to let that out there, but they're going to play these things. I can tell you right now. So they'll be a treasure for somebody, and I know a couple of these guys will probably pass it down to their kids.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But one thing I didn't tell you about in terms of edition sizes, and I think it's really important, the 28 will be a maximum of 150 worldwide. Now you think about the original Clapton, there was 461 made, so it'll give you a comparison in terms of, well, take a look at the regular 0028 EC, we're about 18,000. This is going to have 150 worldwide, 75 domestic. Again, the Madagascar 45s will have a maximum of 30 domestic, 25 international, or a total of 55. And then the Brazilian will have a total of 18, only 12 domestic. So they're really very rare.
Very special guitars.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.